Yeah.
But it's not. Don't get it in an institutional sense of the organisation. I mean, are we looking at all the possibilities? I think we will see another smart bike challenge coming up soon. In the next number of years. There was a demonstration there during Mobility Week in September, which you may have heard about it. But it was basically the driverless vehicle.
Yeah.
But they tied that in also to a number of bike issues that were demonstrations on the day. But it was very last minute, and there was a small element, but certainly the combination of all of the technologies, I think Smart Dublin realise that it's important.
Yeah, I think my next question was specifically about other trends or ideas about mobility future, specifically related to technology, smart mobility as a service. I don't know how big that is. I'm going to talk to Smart Dublin next week, and Chris Gard is specifically, I think, focusing on smart mobility and mobility as a service.
Who's that?
Chris Gard. I think Jamie didn't have an opportunity, so he asked another person to talk to me about these issues. I'm trying to kind of a bit of background. So I'm looking at 3 cities: Dublin, Manchester, and Amsterdam. Amsterdam I know best, and I'm looking at also visions, policy, kind of strategic visions, white papers, documents, projects that kind of plan or envisioned the future of mobility in the city, and technology plays a big role in that. Intermodality plays a big role in that under the name of mobility as a service, most recently. And what is interesting is that even in Amsterdam, cycling plays a very marginal role in those visions. So there is that's also I understand, a policy disconnect. So cycling officers plan cycling, and then you take a smart mobility document, 90 pages, and the word cycling is mentioned like 4 times. So and on the one hand, this is exactly what I'm trying to find out in Amsterdam. On the one hand, this can be explained that cycling is just there. It's sort of the background, and also it's also not necessarily smart technology. It's kind of quite simple. But on the other hand, there is an understanding that if this smart mobility and mobility as a service is to produce a livable city, a more sustainable city, then cycling has to be in the picture. So that's the background. I'm trying to understand how this. So there is a particular trajectory of sustainable transportation, trajectory of cycling promotion, but then there is whole other the trajectory of smart mobility developments. I was wondering if you could comment on this. How do you see that playing out in Dublin? Are smart mobility ideas kind of receiving a lot of attention? Are they dominant? How do you see the development of cycling in relationship to those visions, if they do have traction or gain traction?
How do I see cycling? I mean, it has to play a part. I mean, just what you said.
Yeah.
It just has to play a part in the future of mobility. And it's sometimes, I mean, people are blindsided by the future of mobility and electric vehicles, and that's going to solve everything, and driverless cars, and it's going to change. But in fact, the big issue is space, and the use of space, and the economic use of space, and that's people I think will eventually realise that's got to be the issue for cities, so cities to actually to perform economically, to perform well, to perform as sustainable cities. The use of space. I mean, again, you would be well aware of all of the arguments related to the amount of road space that vehicles get compared to pedestrians and cyclists. And that's something that's the real future of mobility, the economic use of public space.
Yeah. And cycling can play a role in that. But generally, are these discourses, are these ideas kind of strong in Dublin? I don't get that sense necessarily, because in some cities they are. In some cities, the whole departments of transportation playing a kind of have an umbrella vision of mobility as a service or smarter mobility. But
if you look at the Dublin City, for instance, just taking Dublin City rather than the Greater Dublin area, the Dublin City area, and there's a development plan, 2016-2021, that development plan, and what's up front? Pedestrians, number 1, pedestrians, number 2, cyclists, number 3, public transport, number 4, commercial transport, and number 5, private vehicles, like in terms of priority. But you look at how the city operates in terms of vehicular movement. You don't see that you don't see the practicality of it.
Yeah.
So, like there's a disconnect between the policy and the practicality and the reality.
Yeah.
And that may be the same in lots of other cities as well. But the city makes a statement that says A, B, C, D, but instead you get the reality is E, D, C, whatever you call it, B, A.
Yeah.
That's a major show. We are looking at the moment at because we are hosting Velo City next year, and we're hoping it's going to be a game changer for Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, Dublin, there are no major projects will be seen on the ground before Velo City gets here. So the city's not going to change radically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we have a series of what we call quick wins projects. Now the junction element of that you mentioned, 400,000, which is a stunt by as far as we're concerned by the Minister of Transport. It's just a PR exercise because we have been looking for this for a number of years, for improvement of junctions, to increase safety for cyclists too. So it's, if you like, it's something that was always there. In fact, we had discussions with the NTA last year, and or earlier on this year, and they agreed to prioritise what we call the quick wins, which could be improvement of junctions, narrowing of when you having wide cars flying around corners, just narrowing the junctions, making things safer for pedestrians and cyclists. Things like contraflow areas. Contraflow is still not legal in an Irish context. We have a lot of issues with legal issues. So you cannot do like the Dutch do, like where you improvise or you try pilot things. It just doesn't happen in Ireland. It's not, and local authorities are afraid to do something which is not enshrined in the law. So that's a big difficulty with moving on new issues, on new technologies even. So we are looking at quick wins ideas to happen by this time, by the time Velo City comes around, to make that bit of a difference in terms of the infrastructure in the city. But there are major difficulties with there are lots of areas in cities where there isn't even a painted cycle lane on the street, where new cyclists, are particularly female cyclists who tend to be more careful, that they're just still afraid to go on. It's just it's a barrier, and the barriers are not being broken down in that sense. Because the city still, they have various routes where the car is priority, and those routes, a lot of those routes are certainly internally within the city, the broader boundaries of the city.
Yeah. Interestingly, my last question was going to be about Velo City, because he's mentioned by people as a possibility to potentially put more pressure or to raise profile of cycling. Was Dublin Cycling Campaign involved in the preparation of the bid? Yeah. Okay.
If you look at the bid, I think I might have a copy of it up there. In the bid document, we are, you'll see our logos on the document itself. We were very, very involved in it. Yeah. With
the hope that there will be more attention to cycling, or it will kind of help to put pressure on.
We would have preferred to be bidding for 2021, not 2019. That's what we as a campaign would have preferred.
Why?
Because there will be more. We'll actually see more changes in the city on the ground. There definitely will be by 2021. There will be better infrastructure. So why we will still have problems.